Going to revise the plot if there are conflicts that happens.
Okay. More interesting insights from our viewers. Hold on. I know you have a lot of things to say. From Jum Santos of Zamboanga, ban logging, stop mining, plant mangroves, and stop commercialization of the agricultural lands. From Leah Pruna of Paniki, that's in Tarlac, balanced and proportionate distribution of land is one of the solution of the problem. From Dennis Calvan of Katipunan, the government should prioritize agricultural lands and provide support to make these lands productive. From Edgar of Nueva Ecija, you have so much land in Nueva Ecija. Ang mga may-ari ng bukid na pipilitan ibenta ang kanilang mga lupa para maging residential dahil wala nang supply ng patubig. Namamatay lang ang pananim. You understand that, Doctor? Mas malaki ang gastos kaysa kinikita, hindi sinusuportahan ng gobyerno ang magsasaka. Kaya naman pala, wala pa lang silang patubig. Okay, a lot of other things that you will bring up in the last round. You'll have your time. Final stretch of talk back in a moment. Stay with us, please.
Magkala tayo ng sakit! Nasakop na natin ang dumi sa mga ilalim ng rim! Ano yan? Napakalapot! Tinatanggal ang dumi natin at pinapatay tayo mga germs! Ah! New Domex Ultra Thick Bleach. Patay ang lahat ng kilalang germs.
Sabi niya, bibigyan niya daw po ako ng biskwit ng pagkaabot niya sa akin. Bigyan niya na po ko hiningi lahat. Doon niya na po ko inabuso. Pagkabi naman po, pinapanood niya po ako ng bold. Ginagaya rin po namin yun. Pag di po ako sumunod, papatayin niya po daw ako.
Walang ngipin ang komisyon. Sabi nga nila, pagkahaba-haba man daw ng prosesyon, hahantong at hahantong pa rin po ito sa the bottom line.
Well, I will take this one over any Congress interview every day.
It was fun.
Pinagpapawisan ako kahit malamig.
This is one of the toughest. Pati ako na may mesmerize niyan si Boy Abunda.
The bottom line with Boy Abunda.
Para siyang hot seat, pero nang naglaon, naging cold seat naman siya.
I'm Gang Badoy. I started Rock Ed Philippines. What made me decide to join the brew? It's almost like you're a rock fan and then all of a sudden the rock star says, come to the backstage with me. How can I say no to that?
Hindi rin kasalanan ng government yung problema kasi inherent dito yung devolution ng agriculture sector. Ang dami-daming problema na kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin, not in a uniform manner kasi iba-iba sila ng problema.
I think the agricultural policy in the Philippines is okay in terms of the attempts to distribute agrarian reform. The policy itself is okay, but the implementation is not.
Welcome back. Our question, what should government prioritize in land use development, agriculture, residential, or industrial lands? And you saw a sample of how our viewers felt about what the priorities should be. We have the last round, and it's just about 9 minutes, so we need to take your own perspective. We start off with you, Dr. Cura. Where do you see this land use bill? How do you see this land use bill shaping the proper utilization of land eventually? You think it's going to be beneficial, given the culture and the way our ordinary citizen thinks about land, because they don't have land?
Well, like I said earlier, some of us tend to think that it's not the National Land Use Act that we need. It's really a National Land Use Code. In order to codify and reconcile the various laws that have been passed.
Does the code have the force of a law?
Of course. The labor code has the force of law. But what it will do is get all the various pieces of legislation already in place, come together, and reconcile them, coordinate, and remove the areas of conflict. Who is in the best place to determine, after all, how a piece of land or a territory can be planned for the use of its community? It's the local government, isn't it?
But there are emotional entanglements in these debates.
There will always be emotional entanglements when you talk about resources that are basic needs of people.
Yes, right. Or even
but who is in
tradition and
but who is in the best
culture?
position? Who is in the best position to talk about this with the people and to represent the people? Is it the national government or is it the local government that's closest to the situation?
You're talking of the Cordillera area, and this place has remained verdant. I hope. I hope. I hope. Am I speaking?
It's not.
It's not. The forest lands. This is a place where I think that has forest land still. And is this the area, Dr. Andreas, where you see people occupying a lot of this forest land?
Yeah, you see it all over the place. I was going to say, even if you don't own land, you benefit from a good land use. Because, for example, for the population lives in forest, if they can avail of certain user rights, for example, that is clearly regulating how they can live in the forest.
User rights. Stay in that
doesn't mean they own the land, but they get a certain user right, let's say for 25 years. The DNR actually has such policies and agreements in place, and we believe they're rather successful because people really get to use natural resources in a way that is sustainable because they have security. I think the whole discussion about land use policy is about security, securing how land is used, enforcing it, regulating access, and making sure that even those who don't own land get benefit from land. Because if you cross a street, you still want this street is properly maintained, it's properly done. You want to use public transport, even if you don't own the public transport system, or if you don't own the land where the public transport is built on. So there's a lot of benefits for the public that is beyond land ownership, in fact.
So we're not anymore pushing for an individual to own land.
The land use
in the land use, it's not.
No,
we're not talking about ownership, giving them hope that someday they will own land and they will be able to build a house?
Well, of course, it would be important, especially for those who live in critical conditions, that there is something to offer. Especially, I said earlier, up to 30 million people really living in the uplands, totally unregulated. Of course, it would be good if this legislation could address their livelihood problems. But
Attorney,
Garcia. I still think that we have to have a national land use act. A code will not solve it, but we are just collecting all the laws, but not actually trying to put a way of rationalizing on how to use our land. We have limited land, and we have to secure not only our needs, but also the future needs. Food, settlement, and industrial use. Right now, there's an influx of market-oriented development, like setting up of